All right, so we're diving deep into Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
And this time, we're going beyond just like the surface level stuff.
Right.
We're going to like really dissect those core ideas that Robert Kiyosaki lays out.
Yeah.
But, and this is the important part, we're going to figure out how you listening to this can actually use them
Okay.
to like take control of your own finances.
Sounds good.
So, are you ready to get a little bit unconventional in your thinking?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, good.
This book really throws out like the traditional rule book on money.
Yeah.
It's all about understanding those hidden rules of wealth, the
Yeah.
stuff that often goes unspoken.
So Kiyosaki, he introduces this idea of having two dads,
Right.
one rich, one poor. And their views on money, they're so different.
They are.
I mean, one dad says the love of money is the root of all evil.
Right.
And the other one says the lack of money is the root of all evil.
See, that's where it gets really interesting. Because what Kiyosaki is doing there is like setting the stage for a whole new perspective on wealth.
Okay.
He's challenging that ingrained belief that just like wanting money is a bad thing.
Yeah.
Instead, he says it's that fear and desperation
Right.
that comes from not having enough money.
Right.
That actually leads to a lot of problems.
And that idea
Yeah.
that ties directly into his central argument
It does.
about school not teaching us about money.
Absolutely.
So he argues
Yeah.
that we're all taught to be good employees, to work for money,
Right.
but we're never really taught how to manage it,
Yeah.
how to invest it, or how to make it work for us.
Right. And that's the gap that he's trying to fill with this book.
Have you noticed that gap in your own life?
I have.
Because I know I definitely have. I've
Yeah.
had those moments where I've just felt financially clueless, despite having like a decent education.
It's like we're missing a whole other curriculum
Yes.
that's essential for real-world success.
Yeah.
And
So often, that leads people into what Kiyosaki calls the rat race.
the rat race.
This cycle of working for money,
Right.
getting raises, but then like increasing your expenses.
And ending up no better off.
Yeah.
Stuck.
Does that sound familiar at all?
Oh, definitely.
To a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, and it's that trap that he's trying to help us avoid.
Exactly.
And he talks about this really fundamental difference
Yeah.
between assets and liabilities.
Mm-hmm.
Things that put money in your pocket
Yes.
versus things that take money out of your pocket.
He has this really simple but powerful definition.
Yeah.
An asset puts money in my pocket. A liability takes money out of my pocket. And he uses those cash flow diagrams
Yeah.
to illustrate this point.
Yeah, those visuals are so clear
They are.
because they show how money moves in different directions, depending on whether it's tied to an asset or liability.
Right.
And you know what? I think those diagrams,
Yeah.
they really drive home the point
They do.
that a lot of us,
Yeah.
myself included, we've been conditioned to think of things like houses and cars as assets,
Right.
when in reality, they're often liabilities.
Yeah, it's a real mind shift
It is.
to start seeing those everyday purchases
Yeah.
through that different lens.
But that's like the starting point
it is.
for escaping the rat race.
Yeah, you gotta change your thinking about money
Right.
and what it actually means to build wealth.
And this brings us back to Kiyosaki's Rich Dad
Okay.
and that story about the car.
Yeah,
So the rich dad didn't just buy him a car
he didn't.
when he was younger.
He
He
did.
made him earn it
He did.
by starting a small business.
That wasn't about being stingy or anything. It
Right.
was like a calculated lesson.
Yeah,
It forced Kiyosaki to think about creating wealth,
right.
not just getting possessions.
So he had to learn financial literacy,
Yeah.
problem solving, entrepreneurial skill,
Yeah, all those essential things.
which highlights how traditional education
Yeah.
often misses the mark.
It does?
It doesn't teach us how to build assets
Right.
or create different income streams.
And that's where that minding your own business idea comes in.
Mind your own business.
Yeah.
Okay, so break that down for me.
So when he says that,
Mhm.
he's not saying everyone needs to go start a company. It's more about building your asset column.
Building your asset column.
Mhm.
So what does that look like?
Well,
Like in practice?
in practice, there are a lot of possibilities.
Okay.
It could be investing in rental properties,
Okay.
starting a side hustle
Right.
that generates income,
Mhm.
or even building a portfolio of stocks that pay dividends.
So it's about shifting your focus
Yes.
from earning money from a job
Right.
to creating systems
Yeah,
that generate income even when you're not actively working.
that's the key.
So having your money work for you, not the other way around.
Exactly.
I like that.
It's a core principle of the book.
Okay.
He argues that rich people don't work for money.
They have their money work for them by leveraging assets and financial intelligence
Right.
to create passive income.
He talks about how he did this himself, right?
He does.
Buying real estate,
Yeah.
investing in companies before they went public.
Mm-hmm.
So he was always looking for those unconventional opportunities
He was.
that most people probably miss.
Right.
But is it really that simple?
Well,
Are we all just like one savvy real estate deal away?
it's never quite that simple.
Okay.
I mean, there are always risks involved,
Sure.
but the important thing is to understand the mindset.
Okay.
It's about being open to different ways of generating income
Right.
and building wealth.
And learning how money works,
Yes,
and
sir.
then using that knowledge to your advantage.
Exactly.
So it's not about making a quick buck.
Yeah.
It's about developing that long-term financial intelligence
Yeah.
that allows you to build lasting wealth.
And that often involves overcoming,
Yeah.
like some deep-seated fears and doubts.
Yeah. Right. He talks a lot about the emotional side
He does.
of wealth building.
It's a big part of it.
He has that Remember the Alamo story where he
Right.
talks about turning failures into inspiration.
Right. Using those setbacks as fuel
Yeah.
for future success.
But for someone who's maybe just starting out,
Mm-hmm.
how do you even begin to overcome those fears?
Well, it starts with acknowledging them.
Okay.
What fears are holding you back financially?
Okay.
Is it the fear of failure? The fear of losing money?
Mm-hmm.
Once you identify those fears,
Yeah.
you can start to address them.
So maybe it's about taking small steps,
That's a good approach.
like setting a small financial goal
Mm-hmm.
and then committing to achieving it.
Right. Something manageable
Yeah.
that builds confidence and momentum.
And as you build your knowledge and experience,
Yeah.
those fears will probably start to diminish.
Naturally.
It's interesting, though.
Yeah.
Kiyosaki stresses continuous learning.
He does.
He's big on attending seminars, reading books. Yeah.
Finding mentors.
Finding mentors is huge.
But how do you know who to trust?
That's a good question.
There's so much financial advice out there.
There is.
How do you filter out the noise?
Well, that's where discernment comes in.
Okay.
It's about being critical
Mhm.
of the information that you're consuming
Right.
and seeking out sources that you trust.
And maybe that's where mentors come in.
Absolutely.
People who've already achieved the
Yeah.
kind of financial success that you're looking for.
People who've walked the path
Right.
and can offer guidance based on their experience.
And one of the more controversial ideas from the book
Yeah.
is this principle of pay yourself first.
Pay yourself first.
It sounds kind of counterintuitive,
Oh,
right?
does it?
But how can you pay yourself
Right.
before you pay your bills?
Well, it's definitely a concept
Yeah.
that challenges traditional financial thinking,
Yeah.
but understanding the why behind it can be really powerful.
Okay, so let's unpack this.
Okay.
What exactly does it mean? It means prioritizing saving and investing
Okay.
before you even pay your bills.
Before you even pay your bills.
I know it might sound crazy,
Yeah, a little bit.
but Kiyosaki argues
Mhm.
that it creates this healthy pressure.
Okay.
It forces you to find new income sources,
Right.
and it strengthens your financial discipline.
So you're setting yourself up
You are.
to make more money.
Yeah.
Because you have that commitment
Mm-hmm.
to your savings and investments.
Right. It's almost like a reverse psychology trick.
A little bit, yeah.
You're making your financial well-being the
Right.
top priority,
Okay.
and that sends a signal to your subconscious mind.
Interesting.
It shifts your mindset from scarcity to abundance.
But how do you even begin to implement that
Well,
when you have all those pressing expenses?
it starts with a commitment,
Okay.
even if it's just a small amount.
Mhm.
Decide to pay yourself first,
Okay.
even if it means making sacrifices in other areas.
So it's about retraining your brain to prioritize your financial goals.
Exactly.
You know, he's not just throwing out ideas.
No,
He's really diving into like the psychology of wealth building.
the psychology is huge.
And while some of his concepts might be controversial,
Sure.
I think there's a lot of wisdom in his approach.
Absolutely.
And remember,
Yeah.
he also emphasizes the importance of generosity.
He does.
It's not about hoarding wealth.
No.
It's about using it to create a positive impact. So it's not just about accumulating money for yourself.
Right.
It's about using it to help others.
Yeah.
And build a community of
Mhm.
financially intelligent individuals.
Exactly.
I like
It's a good reminder
Yeah.
that wealth building isn't just about personal gain.
Mm-hmm.
It's about creating that ripple effect
Right.
of positive change.
Now, before we go any further,
Yeah.
I want to take a pause,
Okay.
let you absorb all this.
Sounds good.
What are your initial reactions? Is there anything that stood out to you so far?
I think it's important to remember
Yeah.
that Rich Dad, Poor Dad is meant to challenge your assumptions about money.
Oh,
It's not about like getting rich quick.
right.
It's a roadmap for changing your financial mindset.
Okay, so we're just scratching the surface here.
We are.
There's so much more to explore in this book,
Yeah.
including his specific strategies for building wealth, investing wisely,
Right.
and overcoming all those
That's
obstacles
obstacles.
that hold so many people back.
And in the next part of our deep dive,
Yeah.
we're going to look at those strategies in detail.
Okay.
We'll give you some actionable steps
All right.
that you can start implementing right away.
So get ready to take some notes.
Get those notebooks out.
We're going to break down those complex concepts into bite-sized pieces
Yes.
and help you apply them to your own financial journey.
We'll be right back.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Okay. Oh.
We've been talking about like the foundation, Kiyosaki's core principles. Now let's get into some more specifics.
Okay.
Some of the strategies he lays out.
One of the stories that really hit me
Yeah.
was when Kiyosaki talks about the richest businessmen in America back in 1923.
Oh, yeah.
It's a real wake-up call.
Yeah.
So you have these titans of industry, guys like Charles Schwab,
Right.
head of this massive steel company,
Yeah.
Samuel Insull, running like the world's largest utility company.
Huge.
I mean, they seemed untouchable.
They were the picture of wealth and success.
Right. But then 25 years later,
Okay.
a lot of them were bankrupt,
Oh, wow.
institutionalized,
Really?
or had even taken their own lives.
It's a powerful reminder
It is.
that money doesn't guarantee happiness
Right.
or even like long-term security.
And Kiyosaki uses this story
Yeah.
to make a point
Okay.
that true wealth,
Mm-hmm.
it's not just about how much money you have.
Right.
It's about financial intelligence.
It's about knowing how to make that money work for you.
Right.
How to protect it. How to grow it.
And that's where
Yeah.
understanding the rat race is so important.
Absolutely.
He argues
Yeah.
that most people get stuck in this cycle
Right.
of working for money,
Working for money.
increasing their expenses as their income rises, and ending up no better off.
It's like they're on a treadmill,
Yeah.
running faster and faster,
Going nowhere.
but going nowhere.
I think a lot of people can relate to that.
I think so too.
You get a raise,
Yeah.
you think you're finally getting ahead,
Mm-hmm.
but then
Yeah.
you upgrade your lifestyle,
Oh, yeah.
and suddenly you're right back where you started.
Just with more bills.
Yeah.
More bills to pay.
It's a trap.
It is.
And Kiyosaki says it's because we lack financial education.
We're not taught
Right?
how to make money work for us.
How to invest wisely,
Right.
how to break free from that paycheck.
It's not just about working hard.
Right.
It's about working smart.
Working smart.
Yeah. Understanding the financial game,
Yeah.
learning how to play it to your advantage.
But that can be so intimidating,
It can.
especially if you've always thought
Yeah.
that a secure job is like the ultimate goal.
And Kiyosaki gets that.
Okay.
He talks about that fear. The fear of losing your job,
Right.
the fear of not being able to pay your bills.
Yeah.
It paralyzes people.
It does.
It keeps them stuck,
Yeah.
even when they're miserable.
It's like they're trading their freedom
Right.
for a sense of security,
Yeah.
even if it's false security.
Exactly.
And so he challenges us
He does.
to break free.
Yeah, break free from that fear.
He says financial freedom is possible,
It is.
but
Yeah.
it takes a shift in mindset, a willingness to learn,
Yeah.
and the courage to take risks. So how do we start making that shift? What's
Yeah.
the first step?
He really emphasizes owning your own business.
Okay. But he's not saying
Right.
everyone needs to go out and become like the next Steve Jobs or something.
No, not at all. It's
Okay.
more about cultivating an entrepreneurial mindset,
What does that look like?
like in real life.
Yeah.
It's about taking control
Okay.
of your finances,
Mm-hmm.
creating your own income streams,
Yeah.
building something of value.
So it could be
Yeah.
starting a side hustle,
Could be.
investing in rental properties,
No.
developing a skill
Yeah. Anything that
you can monetize.
that you can turn into income.
It's about having multiple streams of income,
Multiple streams of income.
not just relying on that one paycheck.
Exactly.
And you don't have to quit your day job
No.
to start building your asset column.
You can keep working,
Okay.
but start thinking like an entrepreneur.
Okay.
Start looking for those opportunities
Right.
to create those additional income streams.
So it's not about making
Mm,
a drastic change overnight.
not at all.
It's about making these gradual shifts
Mm.
in your thinking and your actions.
Over time,
Yeah.
they lead to greater financial freedom.
And one place where he really challenges conventional wisdom
He does.
is on homeownership.
Oh, yeah.
He says your house isn't really an asset,
Right.
and that's a tough one
It is.
for a lot of people to accept.
Especially since we're always told
Right.
that owning a home is the key to security.
Yeah.
But he argues that
Yeah.
for most people,
Mm.
their house is actually a liability.
So it's not that owning a home is bad.
Yeah.
It's about understanding the financial implications.
Exactly.
Because for many people, their mortgage payments,
Right.
property taxes,
All of this costs.
maintenance costs,
Yeah.
they drain their resources.
Instead of building wealth.
Yeah, and he points out
Yeah.
that a lot of people's net worth is tied up in their house
And their stuff.
and their stuff,
Their cars. Their boats.
which they think of as assets.
Which they mistakenly count as assets.
So what's the alternative? If we're not focusing on a bigger house,
Yeah.
what should we be investing in?
He believes in building a portfolio
Okay.
of income-producing assets.
Income-producing assets.
Things that generate cash flow.
Okay.
Not things that just sit there
Right.
and depreciate in value.
So things like
Right.
rental properties,
Rental property.
stocks, bonds,
Mhm.
anything that puts money back in your pocket.
Exactly.
It's about shifting your focus from
Yes.
owning things
Right.
to owning assets that work for you.
That's the key.
And this goes back to
It does.
his emphasis on financial education.
Absolutely.
He's all about constantly learning,
Yeah.
growing your knowledge
About money,
That is
about
it.
investing.
about money and investing.
He talks about attending seminars,
Right.
reading books, seeking out mentors.
He even says
Yeah.
you should take a second job,
Not even for the money,
not for the money,
but for the skills
or the skills.
that you'll learn.
I love that.
Yeah, it's like investing
Yeah.
in your own education,
Even if it's outside your comfort zone.
even if it's uncomfortable.
And Kiyosaki himself.
Yeah.
He was a great example of that.
He was.
I mean, he quit a secure job
He did?
at Standard Oil
Yeah.
to join the Marine Corps.
Because he wanted to learn leadership skills.
Wow.
He was always willing
Yeah.
to invest in his own development,
He understood that knowledge is power.
especially when it comes to money.
But with so much information out there,
There is a lot.
it can be overwhelming
It can be.
to know where to start.
Yeah. And he breaks it down
He does.
into easy to understand language.
Yeah.
Uses stories, diagrams,
Yeah.
real world example.
Can make his point.
And some people criticize him
Yeah.
for oversimplifying things.
Right.
But I think that's part of his genius.
I agree.
He makes these concepts accessible
Yeah.
to people who might feel intimidated
Right.
by the world of finance.
And he's not afraid to challenge
Not at all.
the status quo.
He wants to shake people up,
Yeah.
get them thinking differently about money.
And one of the most powerful ideas is overcoming fear.
Overcoming fear.
He talks about how fear
Yeah.
can paralyze us.
It can.
Prevent us from taking action.
He has this great quote.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay to be fearful, but it's how you handle fear that makes the difference.
He wants us to face our fears.
Head on.
Yeah.
Head on.
Not let them control our decisions.
He uses the Remember the Alamo story
Yeah.
to illustrate that.
Turning failures into rallying cries.
Learning from mistakes, using them as motivation.
Yeah. It's about developing resilience.
Resilience.
That grit
Yeah.
that allows you to bounce back.
From setbacks.
Because let's face it,
Yeah.
everyone experiences failures
Right.
on the road to financial freedom.
It's part of the journey.
It is.
And it's how you handle those failures
Exactly.
that determines your success.
So it's not about avoiding failure.
Right.
It's about learning from it. Learning from it.
Using it to your advantage.
But there's another obstacle that
Right.
he talks about.
What's that?
Cynicism.
Oh, yeah.
That negativity.
That negative
that can sabotage us.
sabotage our goals.
Yeah.
He encourages us
Yeah.
to be open to new ideas.
Okay.
To be open to opportunities.
To not let our doubts and fears
Right.
cloud our judgment.
He tells that story about his friend
Oh, yeah.
who missed out on this great real estate deal.
Because he listened to his neighbor
Because he listened to his
who
agent
didn't know anything.
who had no idea what he was talking about.
It's a reminder to be careful
It is.
who we listen to.
And always do your own research.
Right.
Your own due diligence.
And then he talks about laziness.
Oh, yeah.
And he says
Yeah.
busy people are often the most lazy.
Interesting.
What's he mean by that?
Well, he's talking about a certain kind of busyness.
Okay.
The kind that keeps us distracted
Okay.
from what's truly important.
So it's not about physical inactivity.
It's about mental inactivity.
Mental inactivity.
Yeah.
Unwilling to challenge yourself,
Yeah.
to learn to grow.
To grow.
He wants us to be proactive.
Absolutely.
Take control.
Take control of your destiny.
Don't just let life happen to you.
Don't be passive.
And speaking of taking ownership,
Yeah.
he has that famous principle.
Pay yourself first.
Pay yourself first.
Are we ready to dig into that?
Let's do it.
Okay.
It can be a game changer.
Okay, so pay yourself first.
Yeah, how do we
How do
actually
they do that?
when you've got bills?
When you've got bills, yeah.
So he says you make it non-negotiable,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's a small amount at first.
Okay.
You put your financial well-being
Right.
above everything else.
Okay.
And that creates
Yeah.
like a powerful psychological dynamic.
So it forces you
It
to
does.
be more resourceful.
Yeah, that pressure
Okay.
to cover those costs.
Right.
It can spark some serious creativity.
Okay.
You might find yourself
Like looking for new ways to make money.
Right.
You'll become more financially savvy
Yeah.
because you've made that commitment
To your savings.
to your savings and investments.
So it's almost like
It is.
a financial hack.
Yeah, I like that.
You're reversing the usual logic
You are.
to make it work for you.
Yeah. And Kiyosaki says it builds incredible discipline.
Discipline.
Yeah.
Okay. And he also talks a lot about finding mentors.
Mentors are huge.
People who've already walked the path
As
like you want to walk.
it's invaluable.
It is.
Having someone who's already achieved what you're aiming for,
Right.
someone who can guide you,
Mm-hmm.
share their experience,
The good and the bad.
the successes and the failures.
It's like a shortcut to wisdom.
It is.
You learn from their mistakes.
So you don't have to make them yourself.
And he also encourages us
Yeah,
to be generous
he does.
with our knowledge.
It's not about hoarding wealth.
Right.
It's about sharing it.
Sharing it, teaching others.
Yeah, creating that ripple effect.
It's not a scarcity mentality where you got to hold on to everything.
It's about abundance.
Abundance.
Yeah, recognizing that there's enough.
There's enough for everyone.
And when you help others succeed,
Yeah.
you actually contribute to your own success.
I love that idea.
And the book is full of practical advice,
Okay. Like what?
like how to find those opportunities
Okay.
that other people miss.
See the potential.
Yeah.
Where others only see problems.
Exactly.
And he talks about raising capital,
Yeah.
learning how to attract money.
Not just relying on bank loans.
So thinking outside the box,
Absolutely.
being resourceful,
Being creative.
finding those creative ways.
Finance your investments.
He also says
Yeah.
you got to master the art of the deal.
Become a skilled negotiator.
Yeah.
Structure agreements that benefit everyone.
So it's not just about
No.
finding a good investment.
It's about having the skills to make it work for you.
Can make it work.
He's a big believer
Yeah.
in finding good brokers and agents,
Yeah.
people who can guide you, navigate the market,
Right.
find the best deals.
But he warns against arrogance,
Oh, yeah.
thinking you know it all.
That can be a major obstacle.
He can.
You need humility.
Humility.
Yeah. You got to be open to learning.
Mm-hmm.
Admit when you don't know something
Okay.
and keep seeking knowledge.
Because the more you learn,
Right.
the more you realize you don't know.
And he talks about the fear of losing money.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one.
It holds a lot of people back.
It does.
But he points out
Yeah.
everyone experiences losses.
Mm-hmm.
It's inevitable.
It's part of the game.
It is.
So it's not about avoiding it.
No.
It's about how you handle it.
How do you respond?
Do you let it paralyze you?
Or do you learn from it?
Turn those setbacks into opportunities
Wow.
to improve your skills.
And he stresses the long-term perspective.
Yeah.
Not getting caught up
Right.
in the short-term ups and downs.
Yeah.
It's about building a solid foundation
Building a solid foundation.
for lasting wealth.
Playing the long game.
Exactly.
So after this deep dive
Yeah.
into Rich Dad, Poor Dad,
What does it mean?
what does it mean for you listening?
You have the power
Yeah.
to change your financial future.
Okay.
You can break free
From the rat race.
from the rat race.
Achieve financial freedom.
It takes work.
But it's possible.
It is.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad gives you that framework,
The principles.
the principles to guide you.
But you have to take that first step.
And Kiyosaki says,
He did.
money is only an idea. So what ideas about money
Yeah.
are holding you back?
What beliefs
And what new ideas
Yeah.
could you embrace
to reach your goals?
to achieve those financial dreams?
It's something to think about.
We'll leave you with that.
Keep learning, keep growing.
Keep pushing towards financial freedom.
That's it for this deep dive.
See you next time.